Think again. Hey guys, it's Dodged Zay. I've been down some deep rabbit holes on the internet. Recently I stumbled on something even crazier than usual. Think you've heard it all? Think again. In this video we're counting down 10 alternate conspiracy theories that might just blow your mind. I'm talking about the kind of stuff that makes you question everything, from secret experiments and ancient mysteries to bizarre modern-day claims. We're diving into some of the most outrageous and intriguing conspiracies you might not have explored yet. What's true, what's fiction, and what's just too strange to ignore? Buckle up for a wild ride through the unknown.
Everyone talks about Area 51 and aliens in space. But what if the real hidden truth is under our feet? Imagine a whole civilization, chilling with their own sun and everything, just vibing in the center of the Earth. Some serious researchers believe there are secret entrances to this inner Earth. Like, what if the North Pole is just a giant gaping hole leading down there? They say Admiral Byrd, this famous explorer, actually went down there back in the day. And get this, he supposedly found a whole race of advanced beings who were like, "Turn back, dude, this is our secret spot." And you know those stories about UFOs disappearing into the ocean? What if they're not coming from outer space at all? What if they're just popping out for a coffee run from their super secret underground lair? This theory even says that dinosaurs might still be alive down there. Imagine a T-Rex just casually strolling through some underground jungle. It's like Jurassic Park, but instead of a theme park, it's the entire center of the Earth. The idea of a whole hidden world beneath our feet is both terrifying and kinda awesome. It's like something straight out of a movie. But the more you dig into it, the more you start to wonder, what if it's real? Picture this. You're scrolling through NASA's website, checking out pictures of space, and you stumble across something weird. It's a picture of this mysterious black object just floating around in Earth's orbit. That, my friends, is the Black Knight satellite. Some believe it's been orbiting Earth for like 13,000 years. So, where did it come from? Some think it's an alien probe, sent here to spy on us. Alright guys, let's dive into something truly wild. The Paul is dead theory. We're talking about one of the biggest bands of all time, the Beatles, and a conspiracy so big, it spawned books, websites, and even documentaries. The story goes that the real Paul McCartney died in a car crash back in 1966, and the Beatles, being the biggest band in the world and all, didn't want to break up, so they replaced him with a lookalike. People started noticing all these weird clues hidden in the Beatles' music and album covers. Like, if you play Strawberry Fields Forever backwards, some people swear they hear John Lennon saying, "I buried Paul." And then there's the whole Paul is barefoot thing on the Abbey Road album cover. Apparently, walking barefoot is a symbol of death in some cultures. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe it's a sign. The guy they supposedly replaced Paul with? A dead ringer? Right down to the voice. Some think he won a Paul McCartney look-alike contest. So, is Paul McCartney actually dead and buried under a statue somewhere? Or is this all just a bunch of crazy talk? The evidence is pretty compelling. Chapter 4. The Montauk Project, Stranger Than Stranger Things. Okay guys, buckle up because this one is straight out of a sci-fi horror movie. We're talking about government experiments, time travel, psychic powers, and maybe even some interdimensional beings thrown in for good measure. It's called the Montauk Project, and it's probably one of the most messed up conspiracy theories I've ever come across. The story goes that back in the 1940s, the government started doing all these top-secret experiments at Camp Hero, this abandoned Air Force base in Montauk, Long Island. They were messing around with radar, trying to develop, like, invisibility cloaking technology for warships. But then things took a dark turn. We're talking about mind control experiments, teleportation, time travel, and even opening portals to other dimensions. They were bringing in all sorts of people for these experiments. Soldiers, homeless people, even kids. One of the most famous stories from the Montauk Project is about this guy named Duncan Cameron. He claimed to be a survivor of the experiments, and he said they used him to travel through time. The government, of course, denies everything, but the stories persist. Chapter 5. The Great Pyramids, Ancient Tombs, or Alien Power Plants. We all know about the pyramids, right? Massive, ancient structures in Egypt. History says they were tombs for pharaohs. But what if that's just what they want you to think? Built with precision using advanced technology. Some believe the pyramids were giant power plants aligned with stars, pointing to ancient energy generators. Chapter 6. The Georgia Guidestones. A message from the future or just a bunch of rocks? Okay, guys, get ready for this because it's about to get weird. Have you ever heard of the Georgia Guidestones? No? Well, buckle up. Imagine this. You're driving through the middle of nowhere, Georgia, surrounded by cows and fields, when suddenly you stumble upon this thing. It's a massive granite monument, like Stonehenge, but even weirder, with these cryptic inscriptions in 8 different languages. And the messages on these stones? Well, they're not exactly your typical tourist attraction stuff. They talk about things like maintaining a world population under 500 million, guiding reproduction wisely, and uniting humanity under a living new language. Nobody knows who built the Georgia Guidestones. They were commissioned back in 1979 by this mysterious guy who called himself R.C. Christian. He claimed to represent a small group of loyal Americans who wanted to leave a message for the future. Some people think the Georgia Guidestones are a blueprint for a new world order. But whatever the truth is, the Georgia Guidestones remain one of the most bizarre and unsettling mysteries out there. Okay, guys, we've all seen Back to the Future. But what if time travel isn't just the stuff of science fiction? What if it's already happening all around us? There are all these pictures and videos floating around the internet that seem to show people from the past in the present. Like, we're talking about a photo from the 1940s of a guy who looks like he's talking on a cell phone. Or that video from a Charlie Chaplin film where a woman appears to be walking and talking on a cell phone. In 1928. And it's not just cell phones. There's a photo from the 19th century of a woman who looks like she's wearing a modern-day hoodie. And then there's the story of Rudolph Fentz, the guy who supposedly disappeared in 1950 and reappeared in Times Square wearing 19th century clothing. He claimed to have traveled through time, but nobody believed him. They locked him up in a mental institution, where he mysteriously vanished again a year later. Spooky. Some of these photos and videos are pretty convincing. What if there are people out there, right now, who have figured out how to bend the rules of time and space? Alright guys, this next one is a doozy. We're talking about Project Bluebeam, a conspiracy theory so wild it makes the moon landing look like child's play. This theory claims that the government is planning to stage a fake alien invasion. They'll use advanced technology to project images of spaceships and aliens into the sky. It'll look like a real alien invasion, complete with lasers and explosions. Why? To create a global crisis and unite the world under a single government. Facing an alien threat, we'll forget our differences and unite. Okay guys, this next one is a real doozy. We all know the story of the Titanic, the unsinkable ship, the iceberg, the tragic loss of life. But what if I told you that the Titanic never actually sank? There's this whole conspiracy theory out there that claims the Titanic was actually switched with its near-identical twin ship, the Olympic. The theory goes that the Olympic had been damaged in a previous accident, and the owners, White Star Line, wanted to collect insurance money. So they supposedly swapped the ships, disguised the Olympic as the Titanic, and then intentionally sank it. They figured they could collect a massive insurance payout and avoid the cost of repairing the damaged Olympic. The conspiracy theorists claim that there's all sorts of evidence to support their theory. They point to discrepancies in the ship's portholes, the lifeboat capacity, and even the name itself. Is it all just a bunch of coincidence? Or is there something more to this story? The Titanic switch theory is one of those conspiracy theories that just won't die. Okay guys, this last one is a real mind-bender. We're going to dive into the deep end of the conspiracy pool with the simulation theory. This theory proposes that our reality, like everything we see, touch, and experience, isn't actually real. It's all just a sophisticated computer simulation. Think about how far technology has come in just the past few decades. We have virtual reality games that are becoming increasingly realistic. We have artificial intelligence that's getting smarter every day. So, is it that much of a stretch to to think that maybe, just maybe, some advanced civilization has created a massive computer simulation that we're all living in. Think about all those weird glitches in the Matrix, like deja vu, or when you lose something and it turns up in the most obvious place later. What if our entire lives are just lines of code being executed by some giant computer program?
So there you have it, guys. 10 alternate conspiracy theories that might just make you question everything you thought you knew about reality. From hollow Earths and alien satellites to time travelers and fake alien invasions, we've covered some pretty wild territory. I'm not saying you have to believe any of these theories, but I do think it's important to keep an open mind. After all, the truth is out there somewhere, or maybe it's not. Maybe we're all just living in a simulation. Who knows? Which theory has you questioning reality? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more mind-blowing content. Stay curious, my friends.